I hit rock bottom, see when Found got there. The first time I thought about leaving the crew, I didn't say it out loud. I just started pulling back. I showed up late. I stopped volunteering. I stopped laughing at jokes I'd heard 100 times before. When I wasn't with them, my mind drifted somewhere else, usually to my little brother, to the way he tried so hard to act older than he was, to how much of my life he'd already watched from the sidelines. They noticed. You don't drift away from people like that without them feeling it. You still with us? Marcus asked one night, leaning against his car, arms crossed. Yeah, I said, just tired. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. We all tired. That's why we do what we do. Marcus had been running things as long as I could remember. He wasn't loud, didn't need to be. People listened because he'd survived things other people hadn't, and because nobody ever said no. A week later, they told me about the house. Easy job, quick, nothing complicated. Just one last run to prove I was still in. Something tightened in my chest the moment they said it. This feels wrong, I muttered. Marcus glanced at me. You think too much. I almost said no, almost, but my phone buzzed in my pocket. A message from my brother asking if I could help him get school clothes. He was starting high school, trying to act like it didn't matter. I looked at Marcus. One last time, I said. As soon as the words left my mouth, I wanted them back. The drive there felt heavier than usual. Music played low, something aggressive that normally got me amped, but this time it just sounded loud and empty. Streetlights passed in a blur as I stared out the window, my jaw tight. I told myself I wasn't scared, but I was, not of getting caught, of staying, of waking up 10 years from now still doing the same thing, still telling myself one last time. The house looked dark when we pulled up, too quiet, the kind of quiet that makes your instincts whisper instead of shout. The door opened easier than it should have. Inside, there was no TV, no music, just the sound of shoes on carpet and our breathing. Then the light snapped on. Someone yelled. The first gunshot didn't sound like the movies. It was louder, closer, final, and I ran. At first, there was only heat. Then my arm went numb. Then it stopped working the way it should. Blood soaked through my shirt as I stumbled outside. Sirens wailed somewhere behind us. Marcus didn't come out. I didn't stop running until my lungs burned and my vision blurred. I couldn't go to a hospital, couldn't go home. Every door felt dangerous. I knocked on the first house I saw with the porch light still on. An older woman opened the door. She took one look at my shoulder and stepped aside. Sit, she said. She stitched me up at her kitchen table like it wasn't her first time, hand steady, no questions, no panic. You're lucky, she said quietly. Another inch and this would have ended different. Doesn't feel lucky, I muttered. She tied the last stitch and met my eyes. Luck's got nothing to do with it, she said. Someone wasn't done with you. She wrapped my shoulder, handed me a clean hoodie that smelled like laundry soap, and opened the back door. Go, she said, before the sirens get closer. I hesitated. Why'd you help me? She shrugged. Because you knocked. I didn't realize until later how much that line would stay with me. I walked home the long way, sticking to alleys, flinching at every passing car. By the time I reached my apartment, my arm throbbed and my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I locked the door and slid down against it. That's when my phone buzzed. One message, Marcus didn't make it. I stared at the screen like it might change. Marcus wasn't supposed to die. He was the one who always survived, the one who told us how things worked, the one who said fear was weakness. I replayed the night over and over, searching for the moment everything split. If I'd spoken up sooner, if I'd trusted that feeling in my gut, if I'd said no. Fear didn't feel weak sitting there alone, bleeding through a borrowed hoodie. It felt honest. Marcus hadn't died because he was unlucky. He died because he never believed there was another way. I pressed my hand to my face and cried, not loud, not dramatic, just quiet grief that settled into my bones. Another inch. That's all it would have taken. The woman's words echoed back to me. Someone wasn't done with you. I didn't sleep that night, and every time I closed my eyes, I saw Marcus on the floor. Then my brother's face replaced his, smaller, younger, watching me become someone I didn't want him to be. I went into the hallway closet looking for painkillers. That's when I saw it, my mom's Bible. The one she used to read late at night when money was tight and things felt heavy. The one she carried through every move. I sat on the floor and opened it without thinking. It fell open like it had been waiting. Choose this day whom you will serve. I laughed quietly, not because it was funny, but because it felt too accurate. This day. Not someday. Not after things calmed down. Today. I didn't pray the way people do in movies. I didn't promise anything. I just said it. I don't want to die like that. The room stayed quiet, but my chest felt lighter and heavier at the same time because now I wasn't just alive, I was responsible. Marcus didn't get another chance. I did. Some nights that thought pressed down on me harder than the fear ever had. I wondered why I walked away when he didn't, why I got stitched up at a kitchen table while he ended up on the news, and I didn't hear an answer. What I felt instead was a weight, the kind you don't drop, you carry. And I realized maybe faith wasn't about being spared. Maybe it was about what you did with the life you weren't supposed to still have. The next morning, my phone buzzed again. We need to talk. You coming or not? I stared at the message for a long time. Then I turned the phone off. Instead, I woke my brother up for school, drove him there with one arm and a head full of thoughts I didn't have words for yet. He glanced at my bandage. What happened? I messed up, I said. He nodded, like he understood more than I expected. Uh, Leaving didn't happen all at once. It happened in pieces, and people stopped answering my calls. Others showed up asking questions that didn't sound like questions. I stopped sleeping well. I stopped feeling safe in places that used to feel normal. Some nights I wondered if I'd made a mistake, if maybe Marcus had been right. But then I'd think about my brother, about how close I come to not being here at all. And I remember that verse, choose this day. Not because it was easy, but because the other choice was killing me. A week later, I passed the woman's house again. The porch light was on. I almost knocked. I didn't know how to explain what she'd done for me or how much it mattered. So I just stood there for a second and kept walking. Marcus didn't make it out that night, and I did. And I still don't fully understand why. But every morning I wake up and choose not to waste the life he didn't get back. That's how I know God met me there. Not by taking the weight away, but by teaching me how to carry it.